So the K-Rend base coat has arrived. That's the base coat here, and then we've just taken delivery of the cement board. This is the cement-based render carrier board that goes up. So we'll have to get those up to the job site. All right, 240 kilos of K-Rend base coat under here. This is just a bit of spare monoflex which has come off the side there. The roofers had to take it off when they did the side of the cheek of the dormer. So you can see they pulled that sheet off and they did all of that, which looks really nice. So it's spare because the weather's looking a little bit threatening, a little bit grey. So we've been really lucky with the weather actually over this project so far. But there's no monoflex on this side section, so I'll just put this around there to keep it dry. As I said, that stuff's waterproof, so I don't need to worry about that. The nice thing is, any extras I have I can use in the bathroom for the shower, because this board could be submerged in water for 25 years and it wouldn't lose its structural dimensions. So it's really, really good as a waterproof board, much better than waterproof MDF, waterproof ply, waterproof plasterboard. None of them are waterproof. That stuff actually is. Right, it's time to cut this post. Well, it's not a post, is it? This drain. This is the ventilation portion of the pipe. It's the toilet waste. And it comes up, it runs up, runs up, runs up, runs up, all the way up here, and it's completely in the way. So I spoke to the plumber about it, and he said cutting it down here is absolutely fine. Straight across there. And then we can still key into it and run the waste pipe through there. That's no problem at all. So I've got to admit, I'm a little bit nervous about doing this. Yeah, a little bit nervous, but I think it'll be alright. Got a diamond blade, decent quality angle grinder, eye mask, gloves, earplugs. Kind of got all the gear but no idea, you know. So we'll give it a go, and I'll let you know how we get on. So you know what, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Are these things ever as bad as we think they're going to be? Okay, I managed to get it off. That last little bit there, you can see I basically pushed the angle grinder a bit harder and snipped a little bit of the wall, but that's okay, that's all going to, well, that's just nothing anyway. And then I twisted it and it just popped off. So that's now cut, that's clean, that's out the way. This can sit down here nicely. I can finish battening the roof. And I can't remember if I said this in a previous video or not, but I'm going to be running a row of tiles along here as well. So I need to batten and tile that. So everything is double battened all the way up and across. I've made the hole over there. I've made the plug for that hole, battened around it. Now these are single batten. To be fair, I didn't need to double batten all of these because obviously there aren't going to be two boards. Well, there might be two boards nudging up against each other. Those ones definitely won't have. That would be one board that I cut. The reason I've double battened it all is just because it gives me a bit more opportunity to reduce waste when it comes to cutting the boards, measuring and cutting them and placing them. It's a lot easier if you've got double battens. If you're trying to butt two boards up on one thing here, you're putting the edges of the concrete board under a lot of pressure. And secondly, it can make positioning it quite tricky. So if you double batten it, given that the battens were leftovers anyway, I haven't bought any more and I've still got a massive stack of them there. If you double batten them, you just buy yourself options. So it makes life easier. So it's a little bit, you know, it's taken me an extra hour, but I think it's an hour well spent because I can now just, well, what I need to do is batten along here and lay some tiles. But once I've done that, I can start sticking that render board up quite quickly. So I'll batten that, tile it, and then come back. Batten is on the whole way down. Level enough for government work. And then all I do is lap a tile on, like that, and we are good to go. I don't really mind that this is super close up against the gutter. It might cause me an issue up here, I don't know, we'll have to see. But yeah, it's tricky, right? I've got the little latch bits are up here, but I can't have it too high. I might have to cut some of these down or find some half tiles and stick them on, just to get a kind of even level across. But I don't want to spend too long on it. The fact is, it is literally just there to waterproof the thing. It's not there for aesthetics, because all of this is going to go soon, but I don't want it looking ugly, so got to balance those two. I'm putting a little aluminium soaker up in here. I'm just going to do the one at this end and one at the other end, and I'll come all the way down here to block off any water that might want to travel across here and get in this way. I'm really hoping that I can get this second story extension done here soon, so that this is not uncovered for longer than is needed, but I've got to protect it in the meantime. So I'm going to put some soakers in here just to give it a bit of protection, and then carry on with the tiling. It's ugly but functional. Aluminium soaker, tile, it'll be fine. Cutting a whole load of these tiles for this little bit down here. Some of them are wonky, but it doesn't matter, no one will ever see them because of the gutter and because of where they sit. I've got that many more left to do. My diamond blade is not really cutting anymore. My diamond blade's not cutting anymore, so I'm basically scoring, using it to score along, and then just tapping them and snapping them, which has worked fine. I've not got many left to go, so I'll just have to keep on it. Almost done. We're getting there. I've finished this row of tiles the whole way along, all the way. I put some lead flashing up at the end there and cut that tile in. Now I know I should in theory put aluminium or lead flashing the whole way across the top of this, fold it over, and then put the render board down to it, but I'm not spending that much money on lead that is just going to be covered and taken away when we do the second story extension up on here, and because we're going to have a roof in here covering this whole thing, all of this is going to get taken out. So yeah, I'm doing the bare minimum, which sounds rubbish, I know, but the thing is, we're going to have cement board coming down, and then I'm going to have a drip bead here, and then it's going to be packed up by K-Rend. So actually, you know, the render board is that thick, plus another probably 18 mil of render on top that'll come straight down on top of these tiles here. So it's not going to leak, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So it is 4:45. It's been quite a long, slow day because I had a couple of deliveries that came, and I needed to obviously get all that up. So all the insulation for the stud walls, party wall insulation, that came. The chipboard down there, you can see just through there, that turned up. So I had to stack that all up. I'm going to try and get a little bit of cement board on here, see how we go. Got 3 boards in. 1, 2, 3. All of them with the kind of rough face, although that's a different colour, it's the rough face that's out. 4 mil expansion gap all the way around. You got to leave that. These boards aren't quite straight, that's how it came, I didn't cut that. But you can see what I mean about doubling up the battens now, it just helps a little bit. And it means the amount of off-cut waste I've had has been minimal so far, so it's quite good having that. I've started adding in extra. I'm going to fill these in to give some more support up here. I'll carry on that up. But it's coming together well. It's now tipping it down with rain, and I need to tidy up the tools. I need to bring bits in, and I need to cover bits up. So I'm going to sign off now and catch you tomorrow. Right, little. I suppose this is a test case in a way of what the side of the wall will look like, so it's a pretty good example for you of 11mm OSB, breathable felt membrane, batten, and then the gap and space for condensation to run down because those are vertical, and then cement board on the top. Cement board is super easy to cut, by the way. You cut it the same way you do tile backer board or plasterboard. Stanley knife, scalpel, whatever, cut along, nudge from the back, and it breaks really easily, but it's surprisingly strong. And then all I've done is just put little handles on it so I can carry it or lift it and put it in place. And that will now sit up, and I'll show you. That'll sit up here. It'll sit up there like that. Just like that. Now obviously that gap will get covered and we're good to go. So I've sealed up the hatch now from the inside and from the outside. Basically I've put 4 blocks up in the corners. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. These are attached up in here and down in there. And then once I've done those, from the outside I pressed this plate up against the 4 blocks and then drove screws through them from the outside, so you can see the screws coming through there. Those are some long ones that I put through. So there are battens running up here, so it goes through the concrete board, through the batten, through the OSB, and then into the block there. So that is really, really sturdy and secure. But then when I want to remove it, all I have to do is take my cutter and cut around the top here to cut these nails off, and that will then open that up through there. So I'm quite pleased with that. It's a decent system. There's an expansion gap there at the top and the bottom, and obviously the render will go there, but again, all I need to do is just chop that render. It gives me a clear line of where I need to cut to be able to open it back up again. And in the meantime I can fill that with insulation and plasterboard, etc., and then I can just cut it all out as one big piece. So I'm pleased with that. I'll show you it from the outside now. So that's the OSB and the batten and the render board. It's a little bit proud, but you can easily lose that in the base coat and the top coat. You'll never see it, so that would be fine. So I just need to keep boarding this up, and then I can start on the render. You'll see I've carried on adding these up, and I'll do it as I go along. Just thought I'd check in. Just got that section and that top bit left to do. I've got another 3 boards, this one and 2 others. Got that board, I've got that, I've got loads, and this is all the offcuts that I've had so far. That's all the waste that I've had. So I measured it carefully, ordered accordingly, but also, honestly, this double batten thing makes such a big difference. Just gives me a lot more options. I'm really pleased with that. So yeah, we're almost there. Okay, so I figured I'd just show you a little tip I've kind of figured out. I'm not claiming that I've invented this, but I've been doing it, and I don't think I've seen it anywhere. So you've seen how to measure up an angle and cut it off. That's fairly easy. These boards are quite heavy, you know, doing it one-handed, lifting it, holding it in place, it's not easy, especially when you're going up to heights like this and you've got angles to sort out and all the rest of it. And on top of that, you've got to leave a gap in between each one. So what I've been doing is I've been grabbing a couple of spare screws and placing the screw on here like this and using that as my spacer. So I'll then carefully lift, and the beauty of them being screws is, although they get pushed down and pinched as it were, they've got thread on them, so you can just use your screwdriver to unscrew them and it'll just pull out. So you take that, then you climb your ladder, you carefully pull it up, gently put it in place, and then you can just zip it in, having screws close to hand, keeping them close by, having that ready to go, the screwdriver, impact driver ready to go, just helps a little bit. That board's in, and then all you do is come here and gently pull these out, and they work their way out. Bob's your uncle. You didn't have to hold it up, lift it up by 1 millimeter. You're up at the top. You need to check that that gap's there at the bottom. That's very difficult. Got a nice even gap the whole way around now. I'm really pleased with this. It's all come together nicely. Last little bit's gone in. I've kind of filled the holes. I've got one little filler pot there right at the top. A little filler bit there right in the middle. All of that is done. It's a little cracked bit there. I'll fill that. But the rest of it is really good. I'm pleased with all of this. It's all on solid and secure. So now I need to start putting the beading trim on. Bell drip, or the bell bead. The bell stop on the bottom, that goes all the way across there. That basically helps the water run and drip onto the tiles. And then I'll do it all up the corners as well. Right, putting this drip bead on. Got to cut it so that it fits. And then what you're best off doing with these, from what I've seen on the internet, rather than screwing it in place, you're best off actually just putting a couple of dabs of the actual base coat on and pushing it up into that, so that it's kind of flexible and breathable with the actual base coat itself. So I'm going to be putting this the whole way along, and then I'm going to be going up here with it as well. All of the bead trim is on. Now I know what I previously said about not screwing it in, but working out and measuring the cuts where things are meant to connect without having it in place is very difficult, especially around corners and angles. So I have tacked it in place, and I'll take those screws out as I kind of dab on the bond. That's the plan anyway. Remember, for any of you haters out there who are just going to post mean comments, none of this is ever going to be seen. Well, none of this will be seen once I've done the second story extension. So for now, this sort of thing is really a practice run in a way, to try and get it as good as I can. Obviously I don't want to do a bad job, no one wants to do a bad job, but equally it is not going to be seen. So once this is all rendered, I don't need to worry about it quite so much. Right, time to knock up some of this base coat and get going with it.